Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are in LinkedIn. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We're on X. We're on Twitch. And we're on YouTube. And we are arriving. So welcome. This morning is very different in Belonging in Business because I'm live on social media with a PowerPoint presentation. Not something I've done before. I've also invited a couple of people who may or may not be able to get into my live stream. But this is a practice for the end of the week because we are down in Exeter. Accessibility Partners and Inclusion are down in Exeter. We're down in Exeter delivering to a group of facilities actually for adults with disabilities and learning differences down south. So this presentation is going to be a little bit of a practice for that. So I'm really grateful that you are here and that I'm not on my own. Of course, I'm not on my own. I'm screaming into the void, and we are all on social media. We are live, and we are, we're here. And also, this will be replayed later. It's Saturday, the 20th of January, 2024. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're on LinkedIn. As I said, we are live streaming pretty much everywhere, although I'm sure there's places that I can find that we're not yet streaming. I use something called StreamYard for those people that want to go and find me on there. And I also have a Twitch channel now. I'm not going to click on anyone's face just in case. Belonging in Business is still in the same position as it has been for a couple of weeks, where if you press on somebody's face, you get kicked out. I just wonder if anyone's actually told LinkedIn, because this has been happening, well, since after Christmas. So it happened for me. It happened for my coach, Pete Cohen. It's not happened in any other room because, do you know, I haven't been in any other room. I literally haven't. I haven't been on any other channel, and I haven't been watching anyone else. And I'll tell you why, because I've got enough on. I've got enough on with what we are creating. And welcome and good morning to those that are with us. And those that are with us from us, just come on up, right? I don't know whether you can. If you can raise your hand, do it. I'm not sure we can, but have a listen anyway. For those that have got the StreamYard link, if you do want to come along, we could even try that. We're going to be doing that on Thursday, so you are welcome to come along. It looks like we are all being thrown out. If we click on each other, we'll give it a go. I'm going to see if I throw myself out of the room, then that will be the last time I do it. If I bob off for a second, then forgive me. At least we will know whether we can do that. I would imagine I'm probably going to throw myself out. If I do, I'll be back. Just bear with me. Oh. Do you know what? I think perhaps we've fixed the glitch. So that's incredible. That tells us all sorts of things, that we can come up, we can talk. Good morning, Alexia. Are you there? Are you unmiked? I didn't know whether you were.
Good morning.
Good morning. Look at us. Yeah. Look at us. We're streaming on social media. We're on all sorts of channels, and we're together, and we're talking. Do you know what? I call that progress.
So do I.
Yeah, so do I.
Because I got thrown out twice last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I'm always look, the thing is, Alexia, that's normal for you. You're always getting thrown out of places, mate.
I might get chucked out today.
It's fine.
In the next town, there's a talk about what's going on and about recycling and that. Because of what I put up, one of the neighbours has said, you really need to go to that talk. And I said, it's in the next town. So he's coming to pick me up.
Oh, do you know, you have such incredible people around you, but you know why, don't you?
Yeah, you put it doesn't matter what you say, as long within sensible reason, you remember to put the love behind it. And I know that's going to sound corny, but it does make a difference.
It's a vibration, right? I actually I downloaded. I can't hear myself. Somebody's not muted. If somebody can mute, it might be Philippa. I'll talk to you in a second, Philippa. It's just if we mute, that's it. Otherwise, I can hear you hearing me in the background, and that sounds like I've got a little bit of a meow, 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 meow in the background. So if we can mute while somebody else is talking, that's great. And it's just new because I don't think Philippa's ever been on LinkedIn. Philippa, are you there? Can you unmute? It's practice.
I'm here.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm all right, thank you.
Oh, good, good. Christian, are you there? Or are you just a fallacy?
No, I'm more than just a fallacy this morning.
You're real. Oh, no. 4 real people in a real place. Well, I guess, really, I should stop chuntering, shouldn't I? How are you?
I'm fine. How's everybody? How are you?
Well, I'm just
How's
pleased we're on the
everybody
stage together. It's been a bit rubbish throwing each other out, hasn't it?
Yeah. I thought that was by listening to you talk. But
It
nice
just
to be interactive, isn't it?
It's nice when there's a little bit of interaction. I just find it a little more natural and a little bit less like screaming into the void. You know, my kids say to me, "You've been screaming into the void again, Mama." Yes, I'm afraid so. It's something I've learned since my middle age. So I'll just do a bit of screaming, if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Scream out.
Thank you, Christian. So yeah, just for those that have joined us, we are live on social media, and actually, there's quite a thing going on now. We're everywhere, and we're also here. So good morning, those that are here. If you want to come up, you are welcome. If you can see us anywhere else, now what I'm going to try and do is work out if I know how to run this presentation. Oh, I do. Look at that. Now, things aren't looking as good as they could, but this is a practice. So for those of you that are watching and those of you that are listening, I'm going to describe what's happening at the same time as delivering it. It's good to see everyone. Okay, so there are people everywhere. It's great. They're all over. We're a little bit scattered. So this morning, I just want to give a little bit of a presentation about who and what and how I am and what I've been doing for the last 2-3 years, because I've been a bit relentless, really. Began on Clubhouse, after COVID. I unfortunately was incredibly unwell during COVID, but I'm still here. Not for want of trying, I can tell you, because my heart stopped 3 times and the NHS put a do not artificially resuscitate on me. A lot of disabled people in the UK had that happen, and I'm sure worldwide as well. But I'll tell you about me. Not all of it, just the fact that happened. And what that did for me was it gave me a determination that I've never had before. I've always been determined, and I have worked incredibly hard across my lifetime because I haven't really had a choice. I came from a single parent family. My dad was an alcoholic. He went under a bus when I was 17. We're not sure whether he did that deliberately or whether he just walked back across the road into the bus path, but that happened. So I come from a traumatized background. I'm also disabled. I was born disabled. I have duplex kidneys. I should have been a twin, and I have multiple physical disabilities and systemic dysfunctions that I've had to work with all of my life. And for the first part of my life, I wanted to be a mum, then a teacher, actually a nursery nurse, a nanny, because I wanted to look after babies before I had them, then a teacher. Then I realised that teacher could get a better deal if they also worked with everybody. What fascinated me about teaching was the fact that I was never taught to work with everybody, just with the homogenous middle. I didn't really understand why some of my class were definitely turning up with additional requirements, with learning differences. Why, as a teacher, I wasn't taught to teach them, because they were all there, right? And I couldn't predict who was coming in. And usually about 20% of the cohort had something: physical, social, psychological, psychiatric, learning difference, whatever. Right, all of those things. We all come from the sum total of our experience and our genetic components. That's true of everybody. So I don't really understand why anyone thinks that's different. So I realized that I wasn't being taught how to teach everybody. So I went to learn. I went and got a master's degree in educational needs, special educational needs, what they call now specific educational needs, and disability provision. I'm a SENDCO, a special or specific educational needs and disabilities coordinator. To do that, I needed a couple of master's degrees. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. For what I did when I went into SEND, which is special or specific educational needs and disabilities, was I followed a path for disabled students. I was a disabled student, right? When I began university, I began with the Open University. I just went online and I clicked on a register button, and then a whole world opened up to me. Now, I'm no longer a DSA, that's Disabled Students Allowance service provider, but I've delivered that for a lot of years, and I delivered a nationwide service, actually in all parts of the UK, and we had 25 staff by the time COVID came. So DSA is something that I got used to over a decade and a half and got really quite good at. Helped thousands of students move through their higher education experience and into graduation and through and beyond it. Now, graduation isn't the be-all and end-all, believe me. I believe it is a means to an end, but the learning provision, the fact that I'm on a course, a pathway, a destination, I'm going to go from here to there to achieve something, that's the magic. And when I came round from my unfortunate happening during COVID, double pleurisy, double pneumonia, and my family being told I wasn't going to make it, that DNAR being placed upon me, which I managed to fight off whilst on oxygen and ask them to relinquish it, I gained a determination that I'm yet to see, frankly, a greater determination of accepting those that are told the end is nigh. I think the end becomes a beginning. I think when we're told we are going, then we want to stay even more. And I think that's really fascinating, that it sometimes takes that for us to appreciate who and what and how we are and what we're going to do with it. So this morning, I wanted to practice with you, and I knew I was safe to do this with the people who love me and those that are alongside me, for me to present this as a practice for next week. So we are down in Exeter. We're delivering to a group of homes with individuals with learning differences and physical disabilities. Often those individuals are the most excluded, okay? 95% of those individuals will never work. That's only 5% get access to workfulness. And yet the UK government is keen on helping all of us back to work. I'm going to talk to you this morning about why we're not ready yet for that, and why the UK government need accessibility partners and inclusion in order to help them meet the grade, meet their aims, help them go from where they are to where they want to go. So this morning, we're going to be including both organisations and explaining to you why we are better together and why we present in Belonging in Business on a Monday in MJ's house on Clubhouse. For those of you who are a bit retro and want to come on Clubhouse, you know, those memories are good and those places are great. And the Caras, our community, is strong. There may not be hundreds, but believe me, the ones that are there are as important as they ever were, as we continue our belonging, both here and there and everywhere. On a Monday night, we then zoom over to inclusion, again on Clubhouse, but then just a bit of a spoke in the wheels. Then at 7:30, we run over, metaphorically, to our Zoom channel, where inclusion participants work together on our progress for making inclusion happen. And they are very powerful special operations that go on a Monday night from 7:30 onwards. Believe me, if you're not there, you need to be. And then on Saturdays, we come here 8 till 9, right? And that's exciting for me because it means I get a chance to practice. It means I get a chance to be with you. But most of all, it means I get a chance to be me. So I decided this morning that we would do a twofer, a bog off, a 2 for 1, which we're going to talk about later as well, about how you achieve a bog off in your business. I just thought of that. So this next slide, not quite so good. I'm going to be editing the colour of this text, but what it says is unleash your potential. We are unleashing our potential. Why? Because we are just better together. And believe me, that unleashing our potential requires us to be together. You know, you can go alone, you can go quite far, but you can go a lot further if you go together. And that's always been my my game. I don't like the aloneness. It just doesn't work. We're humans, right? We're meant to be part of Carras. So, who are we? Well, I'm the director of Accessibility Partners. We're a one-stop shop for access to work in the United Kingdom. But our aim is to become the worldwide provider of choice. And there's lots of reasons for that. We collaborate with a very important group whom I founded alongside a lot of people here, Christian Burton being one of them, Julian Goodwin being the second member of Inclusion, and on we go as we are at reaching over 500 now. We are a co-created group who are committed to equity being served. So why do we work together? And why are we here? Well, we're here to promote unity, to promote understanding, and to provide access to equitable service provision, and the lifting up of all for the purposes of inclusion. You see, when I say we're better together, we have to be together because I believe the 1 in 5 are going to save the UK. If we don't put the 1 in 5 into some workfulness, I'm not sure that we can create the ground level taxes that we require to run this country. And believe me, our NHS is bleeding money left, right and centre. It cannot sustain in its current model. Our UK government knows exactly what's going on in this country, and the banking crisis is at its teetering on, well, we know we're on our way, right? And everybody's just waiting. We're just waiting, aren't we, for this bubble to burst. So we're here because during this crisis, and it's a crisis, we have to continue to promote unity, because unity and inclusion is the way through. How do we do it? How are we going to? We've got some audacious plans, right? It's pretty audacious. We're going to promote inclusion. Okay, yeah, because the world really looks inclusive, MJ. Well, I believe that we are doing that. Well, I know we are, through a number of schemes. The main one with Accessibility Partners is the Access to Work scheme. And I would say that there are some attitudes about the Access to Work scheme that are challenging. And there are people that just don't know what it's about. Mostly employers. The UK government have said only in the last couple of weeks that they really must improve employers' understanding of access to work, because most of them don't know what the hell it is, right? Now that's ridiculous. When you think that in this latest budget, they've said that, disabled people will be sanctioned if they don't look for workfulness. Well, that's okay, as long as there's jobs there for them to look for. So what access to work? What is it? What is access to work? People say to me, well, I've got a job. I don't need access to work. Otherwise, I already have access to work. I have a job, MJ. No, really. I understand that. It says access to work. I'm trying to get access to work, aren't I? Well, no, it's not just that, because even when I have a job, I haven't got access to work, have I? Not if I can't get on the bus or the train or in my car or in the office or in the toilet or in the kitchen to make a cup of tea. I'm Mandy Jane Lace, by the way. Forgot to tell you my name. If you don't know my name, go look me up. I'm pretty much all over. I've been learning to scream into the void from other people. I have coaches who also scream into the void, and we enjoy screaming together. But I think we make a difference by doing that. So what is Access to Work? Well, it's a government programme, and it's available for anybody who is over the age of 16, is engaging in some form of workfulness that is recompensable, so they're paid for at least an hour a week, and that they have some form of disability. What is a disability? Well, it's something that substantially affected you for longer than 6 months, and the symptoms of are affecting your access to work or day-to-day living, and affecting you in some way, substantially affecting you in some way for longer than 26 weeks. Physical, emotional, psychological, psychiatric, any of those things. Physical does not usurp mental, and mental does not usurp physical. If you do not have the mental facility to get out of bed, it's exactly the same as if you physically can't get out of bed. So Access to Work is to promote the well-being and facilitate to provide the needs for those individuals who find workfulness challenging through a substantial effect on their day-to-day living, through the symptoms of their condition. Whether you are working or not, access to work is available to you if you access some workfulness. So for those that aren't working, go find a job. Or even better, decide what you want to do for yourself. And I'll tell you why it's better in a moment. If you're somebody who is in receipt of benefits, and believe me, there are lots of people in receipt of benefits. By benefits, it's a broad statement, the word benefits. What I mean by that is I mean in receipt of disability benefits, namely employment and support allowance. That's an old school benefit. There's one or two people still on something called incapacity benefit, but really hardly any. I'm looking forward to meeting any of them in the next year because they won't be there soon. And ESA is being scrapped. New style ESA, which they couldn't get rid of. They scrapped ESA and then they realized they couldn't. So they created new style ESA. But effectively, ESA has been reduced. Its access to ESA has been reduced. And a lot of people with disabilities are now on underlying new style employment support allowance if they've asked for it, with a top up if they have severe disability premium from their right or access to PIP, that's personal independent payment. So those on the highest rate of personal independence payment, and that's a non-means tested, you can be a millionaire and still claim PIP. Not that being a millionaire is that much of a deal these days. You could even be Elon Musk if you lived in the UK and apply for PIP. And he had a disability, of course, which he has. He has autism. How that affects him substantially on a day-to-day basis, well, we can only look at Amazon for that, can't we? I need to stop now. Does he run Amazon? I think that might be Jeff Bezos. Anyway, we need to look at what they do to see whether autism affects them. It does. And my question really to you, or what I want to tell you, is what is permitted work, supported permitted work? Because as part of access to work, we work with those who have not accessed workfulness. And I'm going to talk to somebody about that in a minute. He's called Christian. He's here, thankfully. So supported permitted work are for those that are in receipt of welfare benefits on the highest rate of PIP, most substantially affected, and who receive employment support allowance or underlying entitlement to employment and support allowance, the new style. And if that's the situation, if you know somebody that's in that position, maybe they were born with disabilities, maybe they had childhood DLA, maybe they moved from disabled living allowance onto personal independence payment. Both of those are not means tested, therefore they can be received by a family and still receive their welfare benefits. The more money you get, actually in this situation. So if you receive higher rate PIP or DLA, then your benefits will receive an increment called severe disablement premium on top of your UK benefits. So actually getting the benefit creates another benefit. So if that's the situation, then you can apply for supported permitted work. Well, what is it? Well, it's a therapeutic work provision that accessibility partners can register you for. What does it mean? Well, it means that you can work up to 16 hours. You can be paid at the minimum rate of pay, or you can be paid a greater rate of pay for less hours, but not then going above £167 a week currently. So for those on welfare benefits, not at the moment in workfulness, actually, there's a way through to you keeping those benefits, at least for the meanwhile, and accessing up to £167 a week that you earn and keeping all of that for now. So supported permitted work is therapeutic work. We sign and meet with you and spend time formulating your way through because we're qualified and experienced and registered to do so. And we can help you access from 1 to 16 hours a week workfulness that's recompensed, even if you are in receipt of welfare benefits. It gives us a bit of a seesaw. It allows us to start balancing the odds and making things a little better, because welfare benefits are not a walk in the park, right? They literally only give you enough to scramble by on. But another £167 a week up to is a game changer. It's a game changer for somebody's income. So we provide supported permitted work, and we're very experienced in it. We've been providing that I've been providing that since 2005. So we know what we're doing, and we know why we're doing it. And it's a gateway to moving towards workfulness above the idea of 16 hours, above maybe one afternoon a week for four afternoons. That's what people like to do. 4 hours, 4 afternoons. It's not a terrible happening. It is very good for us as well. So that's supported permitted work. And what are the challenges of that? Well, again, I'm going to have to change some text on my slides, and that's why we practice these things, right? Practice makes progress. Well, what do we do if I've never had a job? It's a bit of a minefield, isn't it, MJ? How do I get through? What's appropriate? What's possible? Well, actually, you can be employed, as I said. You can get a job, and even a paper round, right? I know there's somebody here who started with a paper round. I know he was. He's gone now. Started with a paper round and fibbed about how old he was so that he could do that paper round. I'm not going to name the names while they're not here, but for those of you that know who my coach is, you'll know that he went and got a paper round because his brother got a paper round, fibbed how old he was, and I think he was on so many pounds a week at the age of sort of 12 or something. You can be employed like that, or self-employed, or a company director. That sounds very convoluted, difficult if you don't know how to do it, if you've never done it, if you don't know what is a company. What do you mean self-employed or a company director? That's why you need to contact Accessibility Partners. Self-development asks, are you ready? Well, I would suggest that we're never ready. Are we ever ready? Are we ever ready for the next bit? I wasn't ready for this morning, but I am now. I think we get ready by practice and progress. I don't think we're ever ready, like the battery, but I do think that we can get ready, and we can get more ready by our progress. So are you ready for self-development? Well, I never was. I just had to get started. What might be holding me back? Well, what was holding me back this morning was overwhelm. I felt like I'd taken on too much. I had things to do at the end of the week. I hadn't quite done them. I've got an assignment to do. I've had a very busy week at work. I don't like that word, but I'm working again 10 till 4 today, and I just felt a sense of overwhelm. So what did I do? Well, I just got started. I got started with dyeing my hair. I got started with getting ready. I got started with making my breakfast. And whilst I was not thinking, I thought, hang on, I can pretty much do what I've already prepared for Thursday and practice that today and tomorrow. And And so what was holding me back was me. The elephant in the room. Me. Always me. Every time I try and blame, shame, or look to somebody else outside of myself as to why I'm not doing something, guess what? It comes back to me. So what's holding me back? Me. But also what's holding us back is a lack of knowledge, a lack of experience, and a lack of understanding, and fear. I was frightened. I was frightened of not achieving what I'd aimed to do. I was frightened of looking like a fool. I was frightened of being ashamed. I was holding me back. Who am I becoming through this? Is a question that I ask myself. And why am I pushing myself to do that? Why should you push yourselves? If you're in receipt of the welfare benefits and you've got your PIP, and what happens if you raise your head above the pulpit? What happens if you reach out and say, actually, I would like to be workful? Will somebody turn around and say, there you are. You're no longer disabled. You must have all of this taken away. And now you must make sure that 5 days a week you're working full time. And if you don't, you won't pay your rent or your mortgage. No. Who we are becoming are stronger in our own voices. The reason we have inclusion is because we want to help you develop your voice. We are better together. Inclusion took nearly 400 signatures to the UK government to explain that their Access to Work programme was taking 20 months to respond to. You heard that. You heard that right. 20 months. I got a job after COVID because my business was no longer in existence as a teacher, a SEND co-teacher in higher education again, but for somebody else for a lot less hourly rate. and I applied to Access to Work, and it took 20 months for them to respond to me. I managed to do my job, but I have to tell you that the state of me by the time Access to Work came, because I have executive functioning challenges and organising myself is very challenging, particularly when I'm high functioning and I have an awful lot of thought processes and an awful lot of projects on the go. I'm ADHD, that's autistic, and have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder co-occurring. So I am entitled to some support. The question was then, once they arrived, well, what was first? And what is first? Once Access to Work do arrive. And what we have done is now we have honed that process and we have Access to Work down to 12 weeks. Yep, 12 weeks in their response, 12 weeks. So we apply with you. We help you. You come and access us. We help you apply. We handhold you through that application. We keep your application reference and we keep an eye on how long that's been. And at 12 weeks, we make sure that Access to Work come through. So what's first? Well, the application form completion. And we do that alongside you. It's recently changed. It's very much like a PIP form. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can look overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. It can be challenging, but it's something that we can do with you. We have a team of people ready to help you do that. So we have to make the application online. If you're looking for it independently, I wouldn't, but it's up to you. You know, we live in a free country, thankfully. Please go and look for Access TO to Work. But if you're looking for us, go to www.a2w.me, Access to Work Me, and we will help you complete that form. Now, what if you change your mind? You know, people do. We all do things, don't we? Oh, that looks like a good idea. I'll do that today. Oh, I'm not so sure now. Well, what happens if you change your mind? Well, we are paid by the government. We're paid by the government from the day that you apply, and you sign an agreement with us, which says that you allow us to complete that process with you and to claim what we've provided for you via the UK government. So we are free at point of delivery. We're literally like the NHS. We don't charge you out of your pocket. We charge the government and they pay us. So if you change your mind, as long as you allow us to complete that process and claim that money through the government, we won't charge you. Obviously, if you stop that, we'll have to, because we have to pay each other. That has to happen. So if you change your mind, we claim that money from the government anyway, and you don't have to carry on. You just have to complete the process and explain to them that that's not something you're going to be able to do when you go back the next year. No, I didn't carry on. But nobody asks you for anything back. Nobody gets you into trouble. And then the preparation begins, because we'll put that application in. We will put in our request for what we call strategy coping support. But we have, months and months to wait. Well, we hold you during those 12 weeks, right? 16 weeks sometimes. And we'll work with you progressively to put things together. And there's a lot of preparation needed. So after a few months, that application wait becomes history now as we move forward. This presentation needs tweaking. It's a whole new way of thinking. I call it lifespan planning, and lifespan planning is all of those magnificent 7, and then in focus in terms of the basics for disability. So what is needed? Well, we have to make some basic assumptions and guesstimates. We have to crunch the numbers. If you're going into business, which is why you're in Belonging in Business, if you are, and you're going to be self-employed, you're going to need a business plan. If you've not been employed before, you're going to need a business plan, and we can help you develop a basic one that's needed for Access to Work with a 3-year cash flow forecast. Sounds overwhelming. That's why we're here. It's what we do. It's what we're good at. Don't go alone. We're free at point of delivery. You also need, if you want a support worker, and there are many different types of support workers. There are job aids, there are drivers, there are admin assistants, there are carers. There is, I think, 27 different titles across the UK and lots of different pots of funds. But essentially, if you're going to get a support worker, we will create with you a support worker record of tasks that looks at what ways a support worker might be able to help you, whether it's driving you, helping you with your IT, helping you with your admin, being your body double, right? So sitting alongside you, online or physically, whilst you focus on your work, a bit like having a teacher at the front of the class, but a bit more personal and a little more effective. So we will help create that support worker record of tasks. And we'll also talk to you about how you get to work. Not just how you get to work, but how you move in work. How do you work within work? What if you go from, place to place to place, client to client to client? How do you do that? Do you have a Motability vehicle? Do you drive that? Does somebody else drive you? Do you have taxis? How do you get to work? Do you get on a train and then get a taxi? And we'll prepare with you all of the things that Access to Work need to know before they get to you. So you know how you're traveling, you're explaining how you're traveling, and then you're asking for maybe what would make traveling easier. Now, the irony is, of course, that I've been without my vehicle, for those that know me, for over a month. And in Wales, you can't book a wheelchair accessible vehicle. You literally can't. The major provider in Cardiff is Dragon Taxis, and Dragon Taxis have decided that everybody else can book a taxi, but wheelchair accessible vehicles can't be booked. They think it's acceptable that if I ring their booking line, that they will just tell me, no, I'm sorry, at the moment, there's no wheelchair accessible vehicle on shift. Please wait. That's usually about 2 to 2.5 hours each way. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not sure that in business that's going to work. So I'm just working with the Senedd, with the Welsh Assembly, in terms of explaining to them the situation in Wales. And I'm helping Wales just become a little more accessible, in that hopefully we're going to be expanding the WAV use across Cardiff to facilitate a service where actually we can book a taxi. I think that's equitable. And if we're working with Access to Work in Wales, then we really need to be able to book taxis. We need to be able to book them everywhere. And it's not just a problem in Wales, right? Because if you want to go to work in a WAV and you ring a taxi firm, what you find is that they say, no, I'm sorry. You can't go to work at 8 o'clock because we're taking all the disabled children to school, and our wheelchair accessible vehicles are kept for that purpose. So if you want to go to work, we can pick you up at 10 o'clock. And we'll have to throw you back again before 2:30 because we've got the school run to do. So that does give us about 4 hours, which means that we could possibly go to work for up to those 16 hours, 4 days a week, and then take Friday off just because the taxi travel has been such a nightmare. So we prepare you for travel, and we also prepare you for adapting your vehicle and helping you access the services that do that. And they're quite convoluted, but they are doable in a kind of good sequence that works. So we can have your vehicle adapted even if that's more suitable. And at times, if taxis are not cost effective and you need potentially adaptations that a vehicle requires, sometimes, in some instances, in some situations, Access to Work are charged with funding an accessible vehicle for your workfulness, which is incredible. Doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's an incredible solution. So what do we offer? Well, we offer job coaching, and we also offer a strategy coping support. They're very different. We also provide accessibility training for those employers who don't understand the process, and therefore it doesn't even matter if they're inclusive in their heart, to be honest, if practically they don't know how to provide those services for people. It's all right having an attitude of inclusion, but if you haven't got the practical steps, it's pretty much a waste of time. Although it's lovely, of course, that we're not being preclusive, but we need to be inclusive. So what's a job coach? Well, if you come along to the webinar on Thursday, which is going to be happening, then you'll be able to see what all of that is about. We're not going to do it today because we're limited for time, but you can see from the slide, if you're looking online in other ways, that we're going to talk about what a job coach might bring, what they're not, what you can be assured of, what we offer, why we offer it, who we're serving, and then how you access it yourself. And we believe that coaching facilitates change. It facilitates change through lifespan planning. And again, if you are online, you'll see a quick glimpse of what we're going to dive into on Thursday, not today, but what lifespan planning is. And it's a process that I've been developing for, well, some 30 years. And and it includes an awful lot of everything I've learned. So come and listen to that. I really feel that it is time for a change. The change is that we understand what inclusion is and why we require it. 26.4% of people are substantially affected by their disabilities in the UK. That's not all wheelchair users, but again, there are an awful lot of wheelchair users, and we can put a man on the moon, but we can't put me on the tube. So I am continuing to work tirelessly through accessibility partners, through our UK Four Nations provision for the UK government, from 1 hour to full-time. You can access us if you are wanting to or have already accessed paid workfulness, remember, from 1 hour. And we're available on that website, www.a2w.me. I'm also just going to pop up there we are. There's our website there, scrolling along the bottom for you. And then for those that aren't quite ready yet, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, for those that aren't quite ready yet, that's okay, right? But you are better in a group like Inclusion, where you have like-minded individuals around you. We have specialist nurses, we have social workers, we have psychologists and counsellors, we have physiotherapists in our team to advise on inclusion. And that group of people, well, they're just phenomenal. We went to the British Association of Social Workers last June, and we are planned to go into, I think we're in Edinburgh, Christian will tell me, this year. We've applied for the conference participation again. We've applied for conference participation to ADSHE, which is the Association of Higher Education Providers. That's special educational needs and disabilities in education. And we have our event at the end of the month now, next week actually, as we're going to be recording a webinar down in Exeter, and recording that in order to pop us out onto social media just some more. But Inclusion is on a Monday. It began in Clubhouse. Julian Goodwin was the founding member. I was with him, and now we're over 500. When we meet on a Monday night, it's always wonderful, and those that gather in the Zoom channel make real differences and start to make real changes. We've moved the Access to Work. It was Inclusion that got that petition to the office for the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister for Disabled People, and explained that Access to Work was not serviceable. It was just not fit for purpose, and that there were people really not managing very well at all out here. So it is time for a change, and the change is that we are better together. We're better together because actually we need everybody to make this change, because when society reflects society, that's when inclusion will happen. And that's when we're going to bring in enough taxes to make this machine work. Whenever we're excluding people and not facilitating their well-being, then they're going to be what other people might call a drain on society, and they're going to cost money, when actually we can make money, we can provide money, but we are just better together, because so many people have something they can do, even if, like me, they can't run down the street doing a marathon. I did it on a hand cycle, right? And I raised enough money that we are now, and I'm just going to pop that at the bottom of the screen as well, we are now at £7,000 to our £10,000. And we want to do that because if somebody becomes self-employed, does not make the minimum income guarantee of just below 7,000, the lower earnings limit, in that first year, then their Access to Work is stopped. But it's not just stopped, it's barred for 5 years. Now, I think that's disgraceful, and it is my raison d'etre, my reason for living, to change that rule. I will have that, Inclusion will have that eradicated from the rules. It cannot remain, and it will not remain. It is my mission to have that removed. So Inclusion has a lot to do. It has a man to put on the tube and on the moon. Has me to put on the tube. It's got tube stations to get accessible. It's got pavements to get accessible. Actually, most train stations don't have the accessible underflooring for blind people, so it's very dangerous on a train station if you don't know where you're walking and you haven't got the bobbles under your feet. You know those bobbles that you see when you're walking on the crossings? Well, they are all very detailed for people to know where they're going and what they're near if they have no sight. And they're not even in train stations yet. We really are way, way, way behind some other countries and way, way behind where we are meant to be. It's definitely time for a change, and the change is going to be through inclusion and accessibility partners. If you don't know about Access to Work and you want to, then please pop in a request over the internet. We are incredibly popular at the moment. I'm not saying that that you will be seen that day. It may be a couple of days or a few days in advance, but you certainly will be put onto that waiting list and processed as soon as we can. But you're better to get in now, because actually there's going to be massive changes, and the UK government are determined to make these changes, whether or not the services are fit for purpose yet. They've decided that if they make the changes, the services will get fit for purpose and people will start services that are fit for purpose. And this is how you promote an industry and make an industry blossom. And this is the idea that the government's got. I just wish they would include disabled people in those decisions, and this is what we're aiming to do. I was at Parliament between Christmas and New Year. I'm over at the Senate shortly. I'm part of Equal Power, Equal Voice, and I'm being trained for my potentiality with the Welsh Government. So we shall see. Great things happening. And we've got about 15 minutes, and that's great because there's 4 of us on the stage. I don't know who'd like to unmic. I think Christian was up here first. No, they weren't. It was Alexia that was up here first. So I guess my question is, why do you think that we need to be here, Alexia? And what do you think we are achieving?
We need to be here because all we've been through in the last couple of years has meant major changes. We're stronger together, whether you're a disabled person or you're not. And I met MJ when she could hardly breathe. And she said to me, "But you're disabled." "No, I'm not." So I've got arthritis, I've got polio, severe, and I do mean severe, and I'm not proud of it, it irritates me, dyslexia. But I've run businesses. I'm officially retirement age. But let's face facts, we're going to live longer. So why would you want to sit there and watch TV when you can get out there and have a secondary income and make those changes? I became the earth healer, a writer. I didn't even like putting pen to paper. You ask Marie, if you get to work with Marie Eyre, you ask her, she'll tell you writing is something that's challenging. But life is challenging. Let's take it on. Let's make that money for the government, because without it, how we get it is the government print money to keep us going. That's how we got through COVID everywhere in the world. That's not just the UK. So by getting out there and getting work, we're fitter, we're healthier. Yeah, we do have odd days. I had one yesterday. But I didn't stop working. I just balanced it. That's what MJ did, because we should have had a meeting yesterday.
We should. I'm sorry about that.
Darling, I'm bringing it up for the reason that people need to know. We need to adapt. We need to do this in the workplace. Whether you're supposedly fit or not, I can think of 6 of my friends which were classed as, I can't think of a better word right now, normal. 5 of those at some point in their working life have had mental health issues. So it's not just a general disabled. It's always going to be there. You might, I don't know how James is. Has anyone heard how James is after his fall?
Well, he's had a little operation. I'm not sure what happened after. I say a little operation. He's had some titanium put in his neck. So he was having an operation the next day. I'm not sure how we are now. I've messaged him. I know Marie's spoken to him. I've messaged him. I've Facebooked him. I've left him a little voice message. So I think he'll be busy getting over the surgery, But he slipped. He just slipped. He slipped in the sauna, didn't he? You see, we never know, do we? We literally never know.
We don't. I can't now stand for long.
No.
That's only just happened recently. So let's get together. Let's get this work ethic going, because it makes you feel better. It truly does. Get away from this TV and somebody else is going to solve the problem, because I'm sorry, they're not. You need support. You don't have all the answers. I don't. But having worked for myself, been an employee, been a nurse, you don't know it all. You never will. MJ will tell you that. You're constantly learning, but you feel better if you keep going. And guess who got me to university? Oh my God.
I think it's fantastic you're at university. Honestly, I think it's incredible. I have two. Our oldest client who's at university is 78, so you've got a bit of a way to go to beat them. But quite a long way to go actually to beat them. I look and I think to myself, hang on, I'm this age. That's how many years it is till I'm 78. How many degrees do you think I can do between now and then? But I think this one's the last undergraduate degree I ever do. This is what I've decided.
Well, having been self-taught on computers and then going to university, that's been a challenge in itself because I'm still coming up.
I am so proud of you. It's incredible, Alexia. It is incredible. You literally, I know that I read these things on Instagram, you know, when people are like, oh, you think you're this, but everyone's inspired by you daily. You actually do inspire me, right? So you inspire me daily, literally. I can only keep going because of you lot. Because every time I see you keep going, well, what can I do, right?
This is exactly what I'm going to say in this meeting this afternoon. If you want this change, you've got to step up and make it happen. It's not going to happen by somebody else. If you want your council to do something, then show them what you want by doing it.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think we better let somebody else.
Do you know we did that in Sharon's room the other day? You and I, we're room crashers. That's what we are. We're room crashers.
Oh, Alexia. I do it all the time. I don't know why that with me as a moderator, but I think that's why Duke keeps quiet.
I think he knows where his bread's buttered. Which side his bread's buttered? when he's with you girls, I always say him, he's like a rose between two thorns, isn't he? Or is that the other way round? A thorn between two roses. Well, she is Sharon Rosenblum, of course. And if you do want to know about Sharon, she's on Clubhouse and she does Grief Changes You at 7:00 every morning. And that's a great room with a great Caras, a great team. And Ju and Alexia help Sharon out with that. It's great practice. It's great. So thank you. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say to everybody, don't forget to put the love and kindness behind what you do, because that's where the true change comes from.
It is. I think that's why when we loved on that man and loved on him gratuitously the other week, when we said, oh, come on, he talked and talked, didn't he? He went and got your dyslexia money back, didn't he? That man that we spoke to on the phone. Oh, that's when we put love behind that. He went.
It's not in my account yet, MJ, but it will be.
I can smell it. I can smell it. It's here. I'm telling you, I can smell it. I can smell it.
And they have said now I can, after all this time, apply to get my internet for free because I'm getting university. So, yeah.
See, another thing comes. Another thing comes and another thing comes. That's what I like to hear. Thank you. Good. Now then, do I go to Christian or do I go to Philippa? Philippa, I'm going to go ladies first. Christian, you'll have to wait. Why do you think we're here? I don't mean here in the world. Yeah, why do you think we need to exist? Why do you think accessibility services need to exist? Why do we need to exist?
Well, because a quarter of the population need us.
Yeah, I'll do, won't it? Are you needed? Yeah, a quarter of people need us.
Isn't going to provide what we need in order to live meaningful, happy lives. So we have to help people to do it.
I agree.
And my position, the position I come from, because I actually struggle with too many people around me, is having dogs also to help us in our bid to become an inclusive member of society and have access to work.
Yeah, tell people about what you do.
I help train dogs to assist people, whether it be physically assist them as in pick up a dropped item, empty the washing machine, open the door, or also on top of or instead of, you can have them task work as a neurodivergent person. You can have them give you deep pressure therapy. They help ground you when you're out and about instead of being overwhelmed by the stimulus. You're concentrating on your dog. And in my case, I do struggle with small talk, starting conversations, but people always want to talk to you about your dog. So it actually gives me access to talking to people on a level playing field.
I like that. It does as well, because I'm always talking to dogs. I talk to the dogs and then I refer to their owners. I'm like, hello, you. And then I'm like, oh, hello, the person on the end of the lead. How are you?
Yes, indeed. It's like a lubricator in society.
It is.
And it gives people who are worried about what to say to you, if they see that you're struggling or that you're in a wheelchair, they can talk to the dog and they can say how wonderful the dog is. And I talk to the dog too. It helps with my grounding. It's a little bit, gives me some stares when I forget to take the dog with me and I'm still at the bread aisle discussing whether to get white or brown.
The dog's not there.
That's fine.
It's all right. I'm always doing that. I look behind me. I've already driven off and somebody's an aisle behind, and I'm like, oh, where's Maureen? Oh, she's at the aisle behind. She's not actually next to you, MJ. Maybe you should talk to her and not just yourself.
Indeed.
Always out loud. I talk to myself walking down corridors. When I worked in Yorkshire Coast College, it's now called something else. I was caught by the register man, actually, bloke in registers. He came around the corner and heard me chuntering down the corridor. Looked at me like, is there somebody there? He got used to it. He got used to the fact that I talk to myself. We're all different, aren't we? Thank you, Philippa. And it's great to see you here. Great to see you here. It's great to see you on LinkedIn. And it was fantastic to have you in inclusion on Monday night. I'm looking forward to it. Christian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You better tell people who you are and why we're here.
Is that all?
Yeah, you got 2 minutes. Come on.
Was a mastermind?
Yeah, in 2 minutes, yeah. I'd like to know why you're here and what you're doing. Your specialist subject is you.
It's inclusive.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm joking. You haven't got 2 minutes. Don't panic. You've got as long as you bloody like.
Thank you. Through a rather convoluted set of circumstances, I sort of managed to find it MJ and get connected with MJ, who's completely utterly changed my life, and moved me from, as MJ said, never having worked to now being a director of the Inclusion Charity and helping alongside in Accessibility Partners with the admin and the forms and getting people access to work. I'd never even heard of access to work. I didn't know it existed, didn't know what was available, because they don't want you to know, because if people know, they might use it. Which wouldn't be good, would it?
Oh no, we don't want departments being used for what they were purposeful for.
Do that. No, and then of course, so what we'll do is we'll give them all lots of really complicated forms that they'll never be able to finish. Sorry, am I saying this out loud? And then so it was explained and everything. Listened, partly MJ told me directly, and also listening on Clubhouse. Which I sat on Clubhouse. I didn't say a word for about 3 months.
It's hard, isn't it?
And sort of through one thing led to another, and I would say very fortunately MJ offered me a job with Accessibility Partners, and I got access to work and got the equipment, which is not the be all and end all equipment. It's what it can do for you. I know some. But if shiny stuff to help you do a job does it for you, well, you can get that as well. But it's what you can do with it, and then sort of carries on, and we now find myself working 16 hours a week.
Find yourself, I like that.
sit there 16 hours a week, helping people, and then obviously being a director of inclusion as well on top of that, and going to places like Basra in Birmingham last year, and going to Edinburgh this year. I'm trying to sit down later on today and start
preparing for that. Yeah.
Start preparing for Monday night. If anybody wants to know more about Basra, we should be doing a bit of a presentation on Monday night.
That's right. You are
on inclusion on Zoom, and I might even try and create a PowerPoint.
Oh, yes.
I'll see. I'll try. I'm going to give it a go. And so you know, as MJ says, you know, it's free at the point of delivery. We, you know, everybody who comes to our service doesn't pay us directly, and they get strategy coaching with our team of coaches is expanded. You know, and you get to talk to Marie, who's in the audience. You get to talk to MJ, and everybody really understands, because it's lived experience, which is why we went to Basra, because it's inclusion as a lived experience panel, and that's what we've got. So if you come to accessibility like this, you know that you're not. Okay, I've been to all sorts of meetings over the years, you know, job centres and people who think they can help you, and disability specialists this way and that way, none of whom are disabled. Now, I'm not saying that they don't know their field, but they know their script, and that's not a criticism at all.
No.
Okay, that's not, but they know their script. And they know when they sit down that so we can do this, and this. But when they go home, they don't. They switch off from it, which indeed they should. However, everybody, accessibility partners and inclusion, but especially the British accessibility partners, we live it, so we understand. We can understand, because you know, when we stop working, we've still got to work out how to, you know, put the dinner on using one hand, or get through a doorway or the lift or an MJ, or, you know, sort of vehicle, etc. You know, so and that's our strength, because we come at it from your perspective, because it's our perspective too. And all the code and everybody, and it's done with love. It is, as Alexia says, we really care about each other. And so, you know, that's where we win, I think. And okay, this is a bit of an advert, but it is an advert because we can help people, and that's the greatest thing when it all comes down to it. All the forms, all the equipment, the coaching sessions, everything that's done, it comes down is focused on helping people to achieve what they want to do, and you know, and accessing what they're entitled to, which I know for a fact from my own experience. If you don't know about it, if you don't know it's there, you can't access it, can you? You know, somebody doesn't show you the door, you can't go through it. So, yeah, 100%. So that's my.
Oh, Christian, you know, you couldn't have said it better. You couldn't have said it better. You said it better than me, right? Because you've lived it, you've gone through it, you've experienced it. You were where many people are. You didn't have access to those. You didn't even know about having access to ESA, etc. And what a travesty that is. But we're putting that right now, and the fact that you've gone through it means that you are absolutely the most powerful to be able to explain these things. I want to say thank you to everyone that's been here before. I know that you've been here before. Been here before and been here today. We are a little bit past 9 o'clock, and I'm aware that you've all been incredibly patient. For those online, I've got the website flashing underneath for accessibility partners, and now I'm just placing our GoFundMe link. If you would like to donate or share the link for the GoFundMe, I would be incredibly grateful. We're going to be presenting the first Ultrapreneur their £10,000 award. That's their minimum income guarantee and their coaching up to the point of access to work arriving. And we have some fantastic individuals already in that melee. We're going to be putting an application form out very shortly. we are just about at the point where that award is going to be given. We're £3,000 shy of our target, and we really need your help. If you can help us create the first Ultrapreneur, we can present them to the UK government and explain that we've had to raise £10,000 in order that the government doesn't bar them for 5 years from workfulness when they're only just beginning. And we're going to make that loud and proud, and we're going to make that front and centre, and we're going to have that on every news channel that there is, because we're talking to people in influential places about important things being placed in places where people can access them, understand them, and receive them. So watch this space. We're moving out and we're being proud. We're loud and we're not going anywhere. We can only grow bigger and we can only grow stronger because, as Alexia said, we are stronger together. I believe we're better together, never alone stronger together. We are better together, literally. Without the 1 in 5, our society does not reflect society, and therefore no one can ever be happy. Happiness comes from inclusion and belonging in business hasn't even been on the agenda yet. But you watch me, because I'm going to take it there. I need to be in places where I'm not. Boardrooms don't have wheelchairs. Hotels don't have accessible rooms. And trains don't let me on. But it has to change. And it changes through us. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to say how grateful I am to you for your attention and your time. We have been everywhere on social media. We'll be back here next Saturday at 8 o'clock for Belonging in Business. We'll be from a hotel in Exeter, so that will be interesting. And you have been in Belonging in Business. If you want to come to Inclusion on Monday night, it's on Clubhouse. Look for Inclusion. And if you'd like to speak to us bright and early on Monday morning at 6 o'clock, if you get out of bed that early, believe me, I've already been up with the lark 2 hours hence at 6. We are in MJ's house on Clubhouse. And if you don't know Clubhouse, then get yourself joined, because that's a social audio media event and experience that you should have in your life. It's a great medium. You have been in Belonging in Business, and I've been Mandy Jane Lace. You've been alongside Alexia Franklin, who works alongside Inclusion and Accessibility Partners, and Christian Burton, who's a director at Inclusion. We have plenty of people in the audience that work with us. If you can click on each other's face, please find each other, connect with each other, and find out why you were here today and what you would like to know about either organisation or about the process. If you are physically, emotionally, psychologically, psychiatrically, or any other way, in some way substantially affected by the symptoms of your condition, and that can be ADHD, autism, diabetes, you name it, we are able to help you alongside that. Then give us a call. Come online, put a request in, and somebody will be to speak to you. If I don't see you before, I will see you on some of the places we're going to scream into the void. Have a great weekend, everyone. I am grateful for you. Bye-bye.